Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who as well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Ainal. The title of this video is For He is Cast into a Net by His Own Feet. Right? And the heathen I'm speaking about is Esau Edom. Right? The scriptures say clearly that Esau is the end of the road and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And the things happening, on planet Earth now is the end. It's clear as day, and we love to see it, right? Because our redemption draweth nigh. So Second Ezra chapter 9, verse 1, it says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, right, which is the scriptures written, right, the prophecies in the scriptures, it says, Then shalt thou understand that is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So that's exactly what's happening. The Most High Yahweh Bahashmi Shai is visiting this place, right? It says, Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, which is happening, is taking place all over the world, and even in Jerusalem, right? Where Benjamin Netanyahu, lives. And the reason why I brought it out is because he was just recently on the news saying that, Jerusalem is our city. But the people in Jerusalem are upset that you're destroying your so-called city, right? With these fights and wars. It says, Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. It says, For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, the end is manifest. Even so, the times also the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs, right? And we're witnessing great effects and signs, right, in these last days with these ICE, right, agents terrorizing the streets with these different wars and proxy wars. Venezuela, boats are being bombed as they're leaving the coast. We have Ukraine and Russia, and we have Israel and everyone in the Middle East, right? This is Job 18:5. It says, Yeah, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. Why? Because, they've been given the world. Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, right? And they've been walking around with great pride because of the Most High Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua put them in charge for a little season, you know. Is it Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 9, it says, For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right. So at one point in time, this devil will have an end, and that end is here, it's manifesting, and you can see the counsel of what they're doing, how they're moving. It's all crumbling down into them. And my point of this video of what they're doing is allowing Ezekiel chapter 38 to come to pass. You have different pact agreements being initiated. You have BRICS being initiated. You have people coming together that was not together before. India and China and Iran and Russia, right? All his enemies are coming together because of what he's doing here in America. Job 18:5, it says, Yeah, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. Right? The power of these devils got them thinking that they can overcome, these different nations, right? By having them all as enemies, right? To get the greater Israel, because that's what it's all about, right? That's why the problem is happening. You have the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians, you have Iran, you have Saudi Arabia, some of Africa, all these nations, right? Have lands that Israel think, Benjamin Netanyahu believes belongs to him in his greater Israel plan, and is causing his enemies to come together. It says the jinn shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terrors shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. And what's one terror other than your enemies uniting? Isn't their whole philosophy, right, in their scheme to separate, conquer, and divide? Their whole thing is conquer and divide. But what they're doing now is allowing their enemies to come together.
The United States, yet again, vetoing against a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza in the Security Council. The United States is Israel.
Right. So he said United States vetoed basically peace, right? It says a veto is the power to reject a proposal or prevent a decision from being made, effectively blocking it from proceeding.
Security Council. The United resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza in the Security Council. The United States is Israel. Israel is the United States. The United States has been pushing for this genocide. The United States has been funding Israel. Donald Trump is supporting Israel fully. All of this act of differences here and there, or some reports, even though I report some of them, of course, because at the end of the day, we report some of the things that happen in the mainstream or from these figures or leaks coming from officials of Donald Trump. But at the end of
right, and I was just watching a Warren Brothers video where they have Donald Trump over in the UK in some type of castle, and they're playing the whole Epstein list situation on the wall that this man is living in, right? Just like a whole, like you had the movie theaters, and you just got the projection up on where he's living at, telling about how he's, him and Epstein are, basically was friends and all that, just saying everything about it. And it's crazy, so how the hell did that happen? Basically, how did that get over there? Over that 1-7, with these elites controlling the world and everything, and then matter of fact, let me just play it.
This is Windsor Castle, home of the British royal family.
GMS, Babylon is fallen. Shalom to you, bro.
Where Donald Trump is staying.
It's not you. Subscribe, be edified, of course.
This is Windsor Castle, home of the British royal family, where Donald Trump is staying during his state visit.
So they just got this thing playing. You gonna see people walking up, and the dude right here is scratching his head. He's trying to figure out where it's coming from, how to turn it off. How is it just able to play? They're putting pressure on Donald Trump to go ahead and I guess go to war. However they're trying to do it.
And this is
and what I mean by that is Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to urge Trump to do the war or something, and they could be throwing these things out there to show him why he needs a distraction from all the hell that's put him, because the scriptures talk about let me grab it, to basically how can, basically roughly paraphrasing, how can one be good to himself, to whom he's good to. Let me grab that real quick. Yeah. All right, so this is Ecclesiastes chapter 14 and 5. It says, "He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods," right? And basically, he's evil to his own kind, to his own people. Instead of coming together, that's not how the devil operates. So anyway, they got this thing planned on a castle where Donald Trump is living.
Film about Trump's relationship with the world's most famous pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein. Their friendship goes back to at least 1992, when the two of them are filmed laughing together. Trump can be seen making friendly conversation with Epstein in between clips of Trump smiling and dancing with a group of young women at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. The following year, they attend a cafe opening together. And a month after that, Trump invites Epstein to his wedding. In 1995, a young woman called Maria Farmer is working for Epstein in Manhattan. Late one night, she says, Epstein unexpectedly calls her to his offices, and she arrives in running shorts. Donald Trump then turns up wearing a business suit and starts to hover over her. Ms. Farmer feels scared as Trump stares at her bare legs. Then Epstein enters the room, and she recalls him saying to Trump, no, she's not here for you. The two men then leave the room, and Ms. Farmer says she heard Trump commenting that he thought Ms. Farmer was 16 years old. She says she later reported the incident to the authorities. Trump denies he was ever in Epstein's office. 1993 to 1996.
Right. So they got this thing just out there playing. You see the security guard, that man scratching his head. So obviously, something is going on behind the scenes. So anyway, over that 1-7, all your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. Right. So this has definitely happened to Trump. I'll be watching some of these interviews where they ask him questions in rapid succession. Would you do this? Oh, yeah. Would you do this? Yeah. Would you do this? And then they hit the big question. Would you do this? Like, oh, whoa, wait,
Of the day,
And we know who controlled the media. The 1948ers, the banking elites, right? The Amalekites.
the U.S. is Israel and Israel is the United States. The United States supporting Israel fully in this genocide. Like there were reports earlier on in several outlets speaking about Donald Trump based on some of his advisors, telling his advisors that Benjamin Netanyahu is effing me. Literally in those words, Benjamin Netanyahu is effing me. By doing what? By having these attacks against Qatar and other countries. So you're allowing him to conduct these attacks. You know very well that you have the power to stop these attacks, but you don't want to. As a matter of fact, today, Donald Trump, when he was faced with criticism and scrutiny from some of the journalists during his visit in the UK, he was saying, until when are you going to allow this to go on? Oh, don't forget the 7th of October and all of the garbage, blah, blah, blah. Him and his little poodle, Keir Starmer. The genocide cartel. We still have full support for Israel and its genocide. We still have full complicity with the genocide of Israel inside of the Gaza Strip. But several developments have been happening in the region. One of the main developments is that agreement that took place between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. I spoke about it as soon as it happened yesterday, just because of the significance. And today the Saudis were briefing the Iranians about the nature of this agreement.
So what's happening? Yeah, America's enemies, right? Even if they were allies, they're now turning to enemies because we know that these people will be joined with Russia to send nuclear missiles on America and Israel. They're now aligning themselves with each other. Ezekiel 38:1, and the word of the Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, which is Russia, from the land of Russia, right? The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And this is going to Turkey, Meshach and Tubal, but it's the chief prince of many nations, as you're going to see. It says, and say, thus said the Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shah, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shield, all of them handling swords. So he's going to make Russia return, right, and start the wars, the engine wars. Okay, and that's what Russia is doing. It says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya, right? All of them with shield and helmet. Gomer, Germany, and all his bands, I believe that's Germany, and all his bands, the House of Tokomar, right, Turkey, of the North Quarters, and all his bands, and many people would be, right? So you have these different, many people going to be joined with Russia, right, to attack Israel and America. It says, "Be thou prepared and prepare thyself, and all thy company that are assembled unto thee." We have BRICS. BRICS is being assembled unto Russia, right? "And be thou a guard unto them. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them." Ultimately, these devils are protected by America, but these nations that's now joining onto Russia are going to attack them. It says, "Thou shalt ascend and come up like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee." Yeah, so Russia is going like a cloud to cover the lands over American Israel. It says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmi shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates." And that's the pride also too. They're the scriptures talk about whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not, guilty. And they're just doing things, right? Every time they do something, they say, "Oh, well, America said it was okay." But they don't have no defense. They have no defense, no nothing. They're just wide open. It says, "To take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land." Right? So ultimately, that's going to be Russia. Slaki, that's going to be Israel and America. And we know, pursuant to Jeremiah 50:45, "the least of the flock shall draw them out." That's talking about Israel drawing out America with, to this war with themselves. And it seems like they're putting pressure on Trump, making his secrets come out to the light, putting that pressure on him and whatnot.
Previously circulating rumors as well that the agreement might increase to other countries too. As a matter of fact, that's a very high likelihood, and Saudi Arabia was leading that front, seeing as it is the main country in the Gulf, and now it's paving the way for other countries to participate. Now they're talking with Iran, telling them this is what we're doing. With Pakistan, this is the declaration, opening the door for potentially more countries to participate. Turkey and Egypt are conducting serious drills in the next coming days, multiple reports, the first in 13 years at that level. Turkey and Egypt have formed the Strategic Cooperation Council over a year ago. Egypt has total involvement in the fighter jet project of Turkey, and they purchased a lot of drones from them. A lot of things are happening. A lot of things are escalating. But I think many people still don't really realize the significance of the bilateral agreement between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Pakistan is a nuclear country. Pakistan is a country that is not signatory to the non-proliferation agreement, nuclear wise, and they also do not follow the no first use policy. Pakistan is a nation that relies primarily on Chinese armaments, although they have American and Russian weapons.
Yeah, so they did this to themselves. Now these nations that have nukes are talking with people that you didn't want to have nukes. Psalms 55:20. It says, "He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smooth than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords." Yeah, and they're seeing that those are different peace agreements or military bases in the land, and people are saying now that those bases are not there to protect you; they're there to protect Israel. I'm talking about the bases that America has put over there in Saudi Arabia and all these different places, right? And you broke that peace agreement of protection and all of that. And now they're turning to each other and against you.
Weapons too, but reports that over 80% of their arms come from China. That
China. So now we got China in there, we got Russia in there, we got Iran in there, Saudi Arabia, right? All of them, Pakistan, India,
in effect is creating all of this combination, all of this arrow coming from China through Pakistan to the Gulf area, creating a nuclear deterrence and in effect establishing new powers. And that's something that the Iranian president was speaking about during a recent meeting that he had with the Minister of Energy in Russia, who visited Iran and met with the
Wow. So we have all America's enemies, you know, they're meeting together. All of the major parties. He just listed all of them.
president, met with the head of the Iranian armed forces as well. The Iranian president said that that's it, the era of the unipolar world ended. It's over. We previously heard the Iranian president saying that we're heading towards that direction. Now he is declaring outright it's over.
Yeah, you know, it is over, right? Habakkuk 2 says, Habakkuk 2 and 4, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, talking about the wicked, but the just shall live by his faith. Yet also because he transgresseth by wine, right, his laws, policies, so many different agreements that he have broken, his covenants. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, right? This is why the war in Ukraine is happening right now, because they went over there into that land trying to make it NATO, right? And it was some other stuff happening there, biolabs and whatnot, right? It says, who enlarges his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him? All these, yeah, they're all there. And a taunting and proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. So they got that debt, that's that thick clay. Shall they not rise up suddenly, that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Yep. So, hey, that's what's happening. America is cooked. All right. Hey, so shalom to the hopeful elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.